Here at the Level Up Co., Kelley and I truly do believe that an elevated client experience from the very first touch point of that first email all the way through the delivery of your wedding films or those final galleries are all so important. And that's why Kelley and I both have been using and loving VidFlow for the last several years, and we recommend to all of our students and our audience members to use VidFlow as well. Delivery experience truly matters. The way your clients view their films for the very first time should be a magical moment. It needs to be a professional and branded experience, instead of basic file sharing like Dropbox or Google Drive, or even Vimeo or YouTube links. Through VidFlow, clients can stream their videos through smart TVs, streaming devices, and setup boxes. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, you name it. There are so many options for clients to watch and experience their films for the very first time on the big screen at home. And VidFlow is now offering photo delivery as well. They now support photo delivery with their new hybrid galleries, which is a major benefit for hybrid shooters and combined photo and video teams. You can now deliver your beautiful photo galleries alongside your video galleries in one place. Level up your delivery experience for 2026 and beyond with VidFlow. You can get started today by going to vidflow.co/thelevelupco. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Well, hello, friends, and thank you for joining me for another conversation here on the Level Up Co podcast. I'm not here with my girl Taylor this week, but I am here with Shauna. Shauna, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, absolutely. So I am Shauna Cooney. I am one half of Shauna and Jordan Photography. We are a husband and wife team based out of Tampa, Florida, entirely destination. So get to run my business with a little co-founder.
I love that. And how many years have you been in business?
9 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love an origin story.
Yeah.
Taylor loves bullet points and strategy and all things facts, but I love a story. So how did you guys get into this as a husband and wife team? Did someone have the business beforehand? Because then I could tell you my husband and wife journey with 618 Studios with my husband, Paul, but I want to hear yours.
I would love to hear yours too. So I actually always loved photography. I was 10 when I purchased my first camera. I have used that camera all through my journey. Actually, it's a 35 millimeter and it actually just died at our last wedding. So I just had to buy something different. Sad story. But I mean, it was like 25 years old, not to age myself. But always loved photography, ended up going into education because how do you make money with photography back in the day? Always tried to have it as a side hustle. It never really flourished. And then I met Jordan. And while we were dating, he saw that I did maternity photos for my sister that were not very good. But he saw something in it and he was like, I really think you can do something with this. And so the business scaled very quickly. And it got into a point where I was like, well, I need a second shooter. Would you be interested? And that's really it. We never shot a single wedding without each other. So,
oh, no way.
Yeah,
okay. So it wasn't, okay. So you started off not in weddings, but you kind of dabbled with like ancillary shoots. So maternity, families, things like that.
Yep. I actually shot a wedding back in the day when I was still in college and was like, I will never do this ever again. It was so stressful. I just didn't have the knowledge that I needed to feel really confident with my camera. And we know weddings are a beast and you have to be like really, really well versed if you're going to do that. So ended up getting back into them though once I got the skill set that I needed and felt really confident behind the camera. So it's been a lifelong journey. This is pretty much always what I've wanted to do.
Yeah. And then what were you doing before? You said education.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I went to school for education. Actually, I have 2 master's degrees in it. So I was all in. And I taught first grade, third grade, middle school math. I was an assistant principal. I've always been an ambitious girly. And I met Jordan while we were doing that. So Jordan taught physical education K through 12. And he was a fantastic teacher. I always joke that we never would have dated if he was awful. He would have been on my shit list because I was the assistant principal when we met. So
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so 9 years into business, you're fully destination. You say you never shoot in Tampa, right?
Correct.
Is where you are.
Yeah.
And what is your 2026 season look like? And if you're comfortable, maybe talking a little bit about the market that you're in, that would be really helpful for the listeners to kind of get an idea of how great you guys
Oh,
are.
you're so sweet. Thank you. So when we work in Florida, we do work in Florida sometimes, but Florida is such a vast state. So when we're there, it's usually a 4.5, 5 hour trip from the Tampa area. So it's all still travel accommodations, the whole 9 yards. So we're either in Naples or Palm Beach when we're in Florida. And outside of that, it's really kind of like a mixed bag. This year we have Utah, we've done California, New England, kind of just like all over the place. And the clients that we're serving are usually hosting like multi-day events, usually pretty design driven. We do a lot of photography for tabletop as well. So Nuage, we photograph a lot of their linen launches as well. We're very design driven ourselves. So it really excites us when we get to do something really fun there.
Okay, so you're kind of parallel within the wedding industry a little
Yeah.
bit with some commercial brand work, which we could talk a little bit more about because that's actually how Paul and I, my husband, we got into corporate commercial work because of how design driven the wedding industry is. So
Mm-hmm.
it started off like similarly as like rentals and things like that. Then it moved into interior design and then it snowballed into other things. It's really cool how the wedding industry really creates so many pathways for people who may not be thinking about what their maybe next step is. I know that here at the Level Upco podcast, we're big on the industry and scaling within the industry, but like there's some realness to like having other methods and things that we're doing within our business as well.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the other things that we love doing that we haven't done, we actually dabbled in like real estate photography for a little bit, 2020, and really did enjoy that. But we really do love architecture. And so photographing for other properties as well. So a couple of years ago, I was brought onto a fam trip with travel agents and photographed for the Soho House in Kanawha as well as the Mandarin Oriental. And so that was really fun to be able to do as well. Just again, a really natural progression from what we do, photographing, tents and, different structures already on wedding days. So yeah.
So when you guys first started your business 9 years ago, what did you guys shoot your very first wedding for?
Oh, $800.
That's similar to Taylor. She was $875.
Look at that. There's something magic about that 8 number.
There must be. I was $0. I was a slow build. I was like $0, $350, $500. I kind of hovered at $500 for like 6 weddings. And then I was like, maybe I could charge 1,000.
Yeah.
And like, I just like started to creep up. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Did you have mentors in your life that guided this business journey? You coming from education?
Yeah.
Do you feel like education was something that you sought after in those early years?
Oh, yeah, definitely. While we didn't necessarily have a true one-on-one mentor per se, like a, human to human, when we were getting started up, it was like in the age of like the show it, educators and Amy and Jordan and Caitlin James. There was so much like a surplus of really great photography education, business education content out there, like the height, I feel like, of the beginning of it. So definitely relied heavily on that. And I've always been a really big continuing education person. I'm always looking for mentors to talk to or people who are ahead of me. There's so much power in getting varying perspectives, I think. And so it's also kind of just like in my blood, I guess. Like I love education. So
Of course. I think that's so great because coming from me, I like climbed my way to where I am now very slowly. Like I was such a slow climb and I can really pinpoint to the fact that I was resistant to education. And I think it became from so I was a film major in college. So I'm like, oh, I'm a film major who's now a wedding videographer. Like I know everything I need to know. But there's so many more layers of being a business owner. Like I'm not just the filmmaker, like I'm designing the website, I'm making the decisions on the brand, I'm doing copywriting. Like, we hold so many different hats. Now, what does your business look like now in 2026? Like, how many weddings are you guys shooting a year? What are your clients like? If you feel comfortable talking about like investment of what they're spending, I would love to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year is a really great year for us. It's one of our transition years. And so we've actually got a full year already booked, actually, ironically, slotted all for the spring. So we have time in the fall, even though, we'll be going past our technical number for the year. It's just kind of how they fell. And our average investment's around the mid to upper 20s this year. So starting investments 22 for 2026. And, that's something that I feel really passionate about too, is like talking about numbers and business and being like candid and transparent and, where are you at and how can we help build and, while filling the gaps too, because it's not just raise your prices and hope that you book. There's a lot of strategy behind it. And what's funny is I feel like most of us have that strategy, but having someone by your side to be like, no, you're right. Like you're doing a good job. Like this is exactly what you need to do. Stick in it, like stick there. Like, so it's something I really, really love getting to do with people. So
Love that. That's
yeah,
so great. Do you do mentorship then as
I do.
well? Oh, you
Yeah.
do? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I don't really advertise it a ton. Not just because marketing's hard. Like we have so many businesses. What's one more thing? But yeah, I do. I do mentorship. I actually saw someone here who I mentored probably about 6 months ago. Her starting rate was 13,000, and she absolutely had the demand to be increasing her. I was shocked when I heard that that's what she was charging, and that's like a lot of photographers. I feel like the work's there is either hidden in their galleries, they're not totally showing it, and so just saw her today, had no idea. And she's like, I am fully booked for 2027. I'm booking at a 20 starting rate. So she went from 13,000 starting to 20,000 in the time that we had worked together. She's like, and I'm Puglia, Bahamas, like traveling everywhere for it. And so it was a really fun moment for me to like see that like kind of all come to life for her. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's Taylor and I's favorite thing too. It's
Yeah.
literally our Super Bowl when we see our students be able to scale and succeed. And Taylor, actually, a cool enough story. Last summer, she worked with a photographer that was on one of her great weddings in Napa, who was an original master in our original very first mastermind.
Oh my
And it's so
gosh.
cool when like the student becomes like the colleague and like
Yeah.
they're on the creative team and like now we're operating all at the same level. And so it's so great, right? I
Yeah.
feel like so many I don't know. Sometimes people ask us like, "Do you feel like you're oversaturating the market because you're telling the people like too much?" And I'm like, "No, I think we can all rise and elevate. There's so much growth
Yeah.
and abundance to be had in this industry, and I'm sure you feel the same way."
Yeah, and that also really speaks to you guys as educators because not all educators operate that way. So I just want to like give you guys your flowers on that. As a teacher, you know, obviously that's our heart is like we really want to see people do well, but sometimes we've mentored with people, and when we start to rise to the same level, it can get like people can act a little weird, and people sense that. You know, you're like, oh, I know what's happening here. They're, you know, and so I love that you guys operate from that place, and it's really a gift to the industry that you guys do that. So
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Okay, let's talk about working with your husband.
Yeah.
You guys started off from the very beginning of your career working together.
Hmm.
Were there any certain areas where you guys hit some tough patches?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because Paul and I did.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about yours, and I'll go into mine for sure.
Yeah. So great question. People always love to ask you, like, oh, as a husband and wife team, is that hard? How is it? And the answer is it is easy now. It always has been mostly easy. And I always attribute it to Jordan. He is the one that makes it work truly because, like, I am a strong, independent woman. He knew that when he married me, you know? And so he has that Enneagram 9 personality and it just works really well. But there's always like, he's still a human being who has his own thoughts and opinions that deserve to be heard. Like, I definitely don't like, ignore him as a human being in that sense. So, figuring out the roles, I think, was one of the hardest things for us when we both were fully full time because we went full time together. We both retired from education at the same time. And so, really determining like it went from me being mostly running the business and him operating as a second lead photographer to us both running the business together because I couldn't do it by myself. And so figuring out what that looked like, what things could I hand off to him. I'm an Enneagram 3, so that's a hard thing for me to do. Yeah. And so getting to the point where I could be like, okay, you can cull this. Like, this is your baby now. You get to operate this and just really figuring out how to divide and conquer in a really meaningful way where we were both leaning into our strengths. I think that's hard too, is like figuring out what are your strengths and then being okay with like, okay, we have different strengths. What roles and tasks align with each of those, like each of us as human beings.
So good. Yeah. What year did you guys feel like you found your stride?
I would say running the business together when we really felt, I think, the most comfortable. Probably in 2019, I would say,
Okay.
is when we really started to kind of like hit our stride. We knew exactly who was doing what. I had done enough time taking the time to train and hand things off to him. My brain can move so fast that I can just expect him to sometimes know things that like, why would he know that? You know? So I think that where we hit our stride, I would attribute it to me becoming a better leader. Like I had to learn how to become a better leader in order to do that in the business. So
I think we are like kindred spirits.
I
Literally,
love this.
Enneagram 3. I'm a 3 wing 2.
Oh, same.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that, and then the same thing, being a better leader and like explaining things. My brain works so fast that then sometimes I'm like, no, you're supposed to do it this way. Or like, why didn't you do it this way? And he's like, I don't know what you're saying. You have to say it. And even Taylor, me and her being business partners, she actually just said something to me yesterday. And Paul commended it was the three of us setting up this setup. And I said something and she goes, can you say it a different way? Or can you say that completely? And I don't realize that I'm not saying it completely. And Paul said to Taylor, he's like, I like that. I'm going to start using that with her because she's like, I just don't know what I'm saying.
Hey friends, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt this podcast episode because I just want to say we are so grateful to have you as listeners. Heading into our 2026 wedding season and into 2027 next year, we just know that so much is on the horizon for you. Because you're listening to this podcast, that means you are a really ambitious photographer or filmmaker, or maybe a content creator in the wedding industry who has sights set on the next level of business. The Luxury Mastermind program, which is our signature program here at the Level Up Co., is going to help you do just that. We have helped hundreds of wedding filmmakers and photographers elevate their businesses into that next level. A great example of this is Skylar Ball, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Tennessee, who was charging $3,500 per wedding when he joined our program, and now 18 months later, he's consistently booking at $12,000. We've had other students book their first five-figure wedding during our program, and we've had many students be able to double and triple their prices, which sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and we are so proud of them. If you are ready to see growth like that, if you're ready to get to that next level in business, book out your calendar year with weddings at a price point that you feel so proud of, and with weddings that are artistically fulfilling for you and that are just so fun to capture, we would love to welcome you inside our next round of the Luxury Mastermind. We are currently pre-enrolling seats before we officially launch, and students who pre-enroll get a bonus one-on-one coaching call with Kelley or myself, which is something we absolutely do for our students as a little thank you for signing up early. You can go to thelevelupco.com/mastermind to learn more about the program, see what's inside, and to pre-enroll. That should be linked in the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, or linked in the description if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Kelley and I are so excited for our next cohort of the Luxury Mastermind, and we hope to see you in there so that we can guide you to that next level of business and beyond.
So Paul and I, we got married in June 2010. We shot our very first wedding in August of 2010. So we don't know anything different than being married and just doing this. Like I was a nanny before, he was a server at Red Robin. That was like our story. And then we started this 2 months after we got married. And it was fine. The part where it got tricky is that 7 years into the business, then he went to school for civil engineering. So, and they got his master's in engineering. And so he's like, I got to give this a shot. Like I spent so much of my time like doing it, and we've just been growing the business. I want to take like a little bit of a step away. He was still shooting weddings with me on the weekends, but he's like, I'm going to go work for this firm. It was about a year and a half before he realized it was not for him. But during that time, I took on all of that. And it took like that 18 months of me being like, it becoming just my business. So then when he came back in 2018, no, he must have left in like 2015, came back in like 2017. So when he came back, it was like, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm like bashing heads. It was like, we were just bashing heads because we didn't know how to divvy up the tasks anymore. And I was way over his shoulder and I was micromanaging. I felt so bad looking back now. I'm like, I was the worst leader. I really was. And he was so patient with me. I mean, but he can like, but he's like, stop, Kelley. You're over my shoulder reading every single email I'm sending. What are you doing? And then it took us like 2 years. It was like 2 years of undoing. 2 years too. So it was like 2 years of that undoing to then rebuilding it back to 2 years of being like back in a good place again. So that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's really similar stories because I had everything on my plate initially. And so, handing off the business. And now he'll ask me like, oh, it just happened today. We're booking accommodations for a wedding in Punta Cana. And he's like, to email so-and-so, do you want me to say this or this? I'm like, I don't care. Whatever you want to say, like send it. Like, actually, please don't ask me my opinion. I fully trust you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
great. And that
yeah.
makes him feel so good when you're like, I fully trust
Yeah.
you. You know what to do.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And he does. So, but it was definitely a learning experience, learning how to hand off. Being a leader is like not easy. It is not an easy thing. We have a sister brand too of associate photographers. And in that sister brand, that's something that I'm really working on. Is like, I don't want it to just be like, okay, yes, we have the sister brand. I want it to be fruitful for everyone, but I also want to be a great leader. I want them to really enjoy being a part of the team. I want it to be something that they look forward to and that they feel like they get something out of that's, yes, a good paycheck, but also something I want them to feel artistically fulfilled. And I want them to be excited when they know they're working with us because they know they're going to be great clients and great planners. And so, leading is definitely a skill that I have been working on honing in on and that I'm still working on. I don't think I'll ever stop. So.
Yeah. Do you guys bring on additional team members for some of these higher like production weddings?
Great question. Yeah, we always include a third photographer. There's like extenuating circumstances where like we're doing a favor for a planner and it's like below our minimum. They're rare, but they happen. And so, on those we'll kind of cut it, but we almost always include a third photographer. And that's not just out of like to create a fake perceived value for clients. For us, it's really intentional because Jordan does drone. And so for us, we operate as a 2 lead team, which you guys are like the same. So you get that. And so when he is on drone, I'm having whoever is third stepping in as my second. And also just needing that extra set of hands because things move so fast. And sometimes I need a different lens or film or something along those lines. So yeah.
That's great. Do you feel like because Paul and I have found in our thirds, we always joke. Actually, there's a couple people here have been thirds for us at weddings, and they always joke and they're like, you guys are the worst bosses. You don't tell me to do anything. And I'm like, I think it's because we operated together so much. And Taylor and I spoke. For those who listening, we're at Hybrid Co still. And so Taylor and I just recently spoke, and I made a comment about like, Paul can't shoot a wedding without me and I can't shoot a wedding without Paul. Like truly, it's sort of a blessing and a curse of like, it is so seamless on the wedding day, but also if we were ever separated, it would be absolutely chaotic.
Yeah.
But we've brought on a third for things like when I've been really pregnant, I'm like a couple weeks from having a baby, or I had a baby recently and I need to go back and shoot a wedding, So there's been times where we've brought on thirds and for some of these higher production ones. And I'm always like, I don't know. I don't really have a task for you. Can you do, and we actually have had a lot of our thirds be more like drone, people to mic up, people to de-mic, kind of gopher, like go do this, please do this, please do this. And that's where we found our flow.
Yeah.
And
It's the
actually,
same with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's the same with us. When we bring our thirds on, they'll be like, okay, so what do you need from me to, I'm like, just vibes, have fun. Like, what would you want to shoot if you could shoot a wedding and just do whatever the heck you wanted? That's what I want you to do. I want you to be artistic. Look for, I don't know, a window that you can shoot through. That's a unique perspective. Like try to be where we're not. And so of course, there's the times where Jordan's on drone and I have a specific spot. But I feel like I'm the same way with our thirds. I'm like, just have fun. And honestly, we get so much fun stuff from them.
Sure.
It's really cool. It's like, giving like a child candy, like, oh, you're getting paid to come and photograph and just do whatever you want with it. Like make it a fun time. So yeah. And it is hard sometimes too, though, because we have that same synergy where we joke that we have like wedding telepathy. And so when we bring in that third person, sometimes I'll forget that I haven't even given them a specific task on something. It'll be like ceremonies coming up and Jordan's going to be on drone, let's say for, the bride's walking down the aisle. And our third shooter will be like, okay, so what do you want me to do? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You don't know. I'm so sorry. Like, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I run into that too.
Oh my gosh. So similar. Same people.
Yes.
How many weddings? I don't think you said, how many weddings do you guys do a year?
Yeah. So anywhere from 12 to 15.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hovering around 11 really is our sweet spot. This year we'll probably end up over that. I'm expecting. So
over 15?
Over the 11 mark.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we'll probably land closer to the 15 mark. 15 is really like the top end of the tier for us. We have 2 small kids. So we have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So trying to like soak up the season of life with them as much as possible. It's one of those things where like, I know that we're in I'm not going to get emotional. I know we're in the good old days right now. So
yeah, I literally have that sign hanging up in my son who's 6. So I have a 6-year-old, almost 4-year-old. She'll turn 4 on Friday, and then a 1-year-old.
Aww.
And I think it's such a good reminder, it's an exhausting time of parenthood.
It really is.
It is. Like,
It is, yeah.
the patience is worn thin. They demand a lot of us physically, emotionally, mentally, all of those things.
Mhm.
And so I hung up this little sign. I got it off Etsy. Maybe I can share it to you. And it was like, these are the good old days.
Yeah.
And it sits like while I'm reading my son books at night and you're just really tired. And then you know that you probably have to get up after putting them to bed at 8
Mhm.
p.m. and do a couple more hours of work.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I have that sign over on the opposite side of the room and I'm like reading books and like looking at it. And it really keeps me like grounded and present in the moment.
Yeah.
Because and it's a blessing and a curse to do destination work. Because we have a great local market. We're in Orange County. So like we can work in Newport Beach and Laguna Beach
Yeah.
and all those great places. But you're on until you go and shoot a wedding for 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like you're making the breakfasts and you're changing the diapers and you're doing all the things. And then you get in the car for 20 minutes and you're just on in a different way for 12 hours. So Paul and I have been kind of like trying to push outside of our
That's
radius
hard.
a little bit more. But then
Mhm.
it's, depending on everyone's circumstances, it's tricky for the childcare.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you say that because it is so difficult. We had something recently. Oh, it was a proposal. We did a proposal. California Planner actually was doing a proposal for an NFL client that happened to play for the Bucks. And so we like got in our car and just drove 30 minutes and photographed a proposal. And we were like, this is strange because we usually are there night, for events. We're there flying out night before. We have time to prepare. Going from mom to photographer was actually like really disorienting in a way. So major kudos to you for it's lovely because you get more time with your kids because you're in your local market, but that's it's a hard transition to make.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm enjoying right now the destination work a little bit more. And Paul and I, we do about 10 to 12.
Mhm.
So, and we did 8 last year, which actually felt really great work wise, but I would have loved a couple more bookings, just like revenue wise.
Same.
And
Yeah.
so I think, and we did 11 the year before, and that felt a little bit busy. I think 10 would be
10.
perfect.
Yeah. We're still finding our sweet spot too. So that's why I'm like, 11 to 15. I don't know. And it also depends on the scale and how much of it is travel. And how much of it is traveling to East Coast versus, West Coast, like major travel difference there. So I think there's a lot of different variables. And then also as my kids get older, it changes too. Like what was a lot harder a few years ago when they're this little, it changes so rapidly. I know you know this. So, before if you had asked me this when I had, a newborn and a 2-year-old, I would have been like, well, revenue wise, I want like 12, but as a mom, like, I don't know, 8. But now as they're getting older and a little more independent, we're able to take on a little bit more. So,
and I think that's just the beauty of those who are listening. Like whatever your personal life goals are too, just be sure that you are being so intentional in the business in that season that's setting you up for that next season.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you guys did so much work, or like you probably look back to like year 3 and 4 and 5 of your business being like, we could have never done this with a 2 and 4-year-old.
Oh yeah.
We're just living fast and free.
Yeah.
And your business is your baby.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it was like 24/7. Like if I wasn't working on something on the website or Instagram, or then I was on, I was trying to reach out to people, building community within our community, trying to get in on the lists with local planners. We actually even moved from Tampa down to the Sarasota area because that was like a more fruitful market. And we lived there for a couple of years. Then we had our first son and then we moved north of Tampa now for childcare, literally same thing, which is honestly my greatest accomplishment, I think, was when we brought my mom on full time to be our kids' caretaker for when we're gone. That's probably like if somebody were to ask me what I think my greatest achievement is as a business owner, that's probably it. I'm again not going to try to get emotional,
that's so
but
cool.
yeah.
Okay, walk me through that. Like, how
Yeah.
did that whole conversation come about? Because I know that like us as millennials and
Mhm.
like our parents, like they do a lot for us in like this season and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, how did that come about? Like, was she needing to work like would she have needed to work,
Yeah,
continue to work?
she
and
would
you
have.
took that on.
And it's a really, really interesting story. So I am a very I believe in manifestation and I'm very like, into energy and stuff. So I'm a little bit, and that's like my mindset with things. And so, it was in 2024. I had wrote a letter to myself, and it was something that I was supposed to open the next year. And this is what happened in between me writing the letter to opening the letter. So I wrote this letter August of 2024. And I think it was that fall. My mom was coming over to watch our kids. We were going to, Florida Gator football game, my alumni. And so we were going up to a Gator game, and my mom walks in, and I'm just catching up with her. I'm like, "Oh, how's work?" And she's like, "Oh, I actually left." And I was like, "Oh, you quit your job?" And she had been with a different company for years and years. It got bought out. So then she went to a different job. So it was like just something short that she had done. She didn't like it. And so she left it. And reentering the workforce after being with a company for 20 years was like really hard for her. And so anyways, wasn't the right fit. She had left it. And I got in the car with Jordan, and we were driving up to the game, and I looked at him, and I knew our finances, and I knew what revenue was coming in, and I knew like what our personal costs were and business costs. And I was like, Jordan, I think that we can bring mom on full time. I think that we can replace her income from where she was. And so he's such a great, loving, kind, supporting husband. He was like, let's look at it then. Because it also was lovely for her, and it was a need that we needed. When you have small children and you have big production weddings that you have to leave on Thursday for, you can't just say, who can come watch my kids Thursday night? They have to wake up and go to work the next day. So then, okay, I have one of their aunts come over, watch them overnight. I have to have a sitter come over Friday morning. That's really disorienting for the kids. And so as a husband and wife team, that's a really big logistical struggle that we have. And so we took a look at the numbers, and I was right. And so we brought her on, and I'd forgotten that I wrote that in a letter to myself. And so it was like the next year I had the little date on the top. I forgot what I wrote in it. It was just in my desk drawer, and I stumbled across it actually like a month after I was supposed to open it. So it was like September of last year, actually, I think. And I found the note, and I opened it up, and I read the things that I had like manifested and gold set for myself, and just like started crying, because I was like, I can't believe I actually was able to bring that to light. So it was really, really proud
Wow.
moment. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And like being able to build this like beautiful life for yourself and then pull in family members, like there's nothing better.
Yeah.
It's like so incredible that you were able to do that
Thank
in
you.
9 years.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing. This is my 16th year coming into it.
Yeah.
And like the fact that you guys have been doing this for like almost half the amount of time that I haven't seen success and shooting weddings in the high 20s, like you should be so, so proud.
That's so kind. Thank you so much.
Great. Yes,
Thank
it's so
you.
great. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it was such a joy. Thank you for having me.
Yes. If the listeners are not familiar with your work, where can they find you on Instagram or your website?
Yeah. So at Shauna and Jordan. And for Instagram, website's really the same. So just at Shauna and Jordan, nice and simple.
All right. Thanks, Shauna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.